now let's prepare for the men's final. Great battle just getting started. Local boy from the North Shore of Oahu, 96712, the NSB, taking on Leonardo Fioravanti from Rome, Italy, pulling up and under. Mamiya! Oh my goodness gracious. Let's go. Barron already starting off on a heater. At Pipeline, Joe Turpel with Ross Williams, Jesse Mendez for the call. Jesse, a Triple Crown champ. Ross, a finalist here at Pipeline in the past. To break it all down, just like I guess you'd expect. The theme of the last 2 years is Barron's just unstoppable on his home break.
It's insane. He has just been willing waves to come his way. He's been commanding the lineup. He's been hassling just the right amount. And again, he got the leg up on that first encounter. Insane.
Insane start, Jesse. I mean, the guy is just so reliable.
I mean, to wheel waves coming towards you today on a backdoor is one thing, but to find those pipe waves that he's finding, it's just shows how much in rhythm he is and how comfortable he is in the lineup right here, because that was impressive. Another beautiful pipe wave rhythm. Obviously, props to him. He was so underneath. It was so hard to do. There's only a very few guys that are capable of that, and he's one of them.
Happy to be sitting next to these brilliant surf minds and even better friends. Ross, first of all, putting you on the spot. I mean, Barron or Leo, is it too easy to call, or does Leo truly have a shot in this one?
Yeah, I mean, we're cheating, right? Obviously, you choose Barron right now after that start. But that being said, Leo is really feisty, super smart competitor. He's been surfing on the North Shore for many, many years, so I'm not going to count him out just yet, but Barron's on a roll.
Uh-oh, without priority now going right. Mamiya is traveling, driving, looking comfortable. Backdoor Barron hops out of wave number 2. Hasn't even heard the score of the left. But I've been talking to Barron a bit lately, and it's like he kind of knows what the score feels like. You know, he almost doesn't need to sit and wait for the announcement. You can tell by his body language with the way he's been celebrating his barrels. He's in sync. You know, if he could surf one wave for the rest of his life, it's right here, and it honestly is big or small. He loves it that much.
And I like that he mentioned that, Joe, because it's one thing. Most surfers are very good at identifying what the score they got on turns, but on tube riding, it's a whole different story, because who's not comfortable at waves of consequences like this tend to think that they're deeper than they were. So sometimes you're going to see guys coming out of barrels, like obviously a beautiful barrel, but they weren't deep enough, and they'll get a smaller score, but that's not the case for Barron. He's so comfortable that he knows exactly what he's going to get.
Breaking down the paddle battle. What'd you see here, Ross?
Well, they're scrapping around, and Barron sort of gave way as far as the shoulder to the left, but I think Leo flinched first, and he said, okay, you go. And that's the advantage that Barron has. Barron has the ability to improvise, so he doesn't care if he's a little too deep or a little too late. He can still take off and handle the drop. He's got that extra gear out at Pipe Backdoor where it really doesn't matter if he's steep and deep. He's like, I'm fine. Put me in a weird spot, I'll still get it.
Now Leo's turn to get involved in the final. Nice speed as slows himself down, puts him incredibly deep, ends up shutting down at the end. Started off looking like a smart idea to get nice and deep, and then it really ran off without him, Jesse.
I think it was a smart idea overall. Like, he had to put himself deep because Barron obviously got the 817 to start the heat, so it's a big task for him in front, and he maybe stalled just a little bit more than he was hoping for, but there was an exit on that wave. Like, he just maybe got a little bit too greedy, and he kind of has to. Like, first 5 minutes of the heat, the guy already has a 13.34 heat total. I'm not surprised he went that big on that wave.
And also for Leo, just to be runner-up in this event already. I mean, Ross, you could speak to that. You finaled at every stop on the Triple Crown and had to walk away from, taking that second place, which could mean a lot to a lot of people. But when you're that close to a win, he's already felt that once.
Absolutely. It stings for sure. And he put it out there. He said, I want to get a victory this year. Barron on to another one.
Barron now rolling in. Wave number 3, super hollow. He's got the pace. Mamiya makes it again. Driving into a section off the top, and he will just end up going over the handlebars with excitement.
I mean, it's laughable how in connection he is right now, like throughout this whole event. Like, what can you do about it? How can you stop him if he keeps putting himself in those situations in those ways?
Gosh, you got to love it. I mean, he did tell us just the other day that he had a feeling moment where he got blown out of a pit before he won last year. And he said it was the weirdest thing where it's like, I know I'm going to win. And he still tapped into that coming into his event title defense.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, the weird thing is, for Barron, he's a double whammy, right? Because he's got the flow right now, and he's also got the ability. He surfs at backdoor and pipe as good as anyone out here. And he's in a really good rhythm. He's making smart decisions tactically. He got that paddle battle over Leo, which is really tough to do. And then set waves are coming right to him. But that was super deep, a couple of huge pumps over the racetrack right there, all the way through eights. That maneuver didn't matter if he made it. The hard work was already done.
Gosh, you got to love his style, and he loves being a showman as well. He wears a couple chains a lot, listen to hip-hop music, and he has his cool style and loves pushing his friends out here, piping back door. They always are trading clips, guys like Makana Pang, Kalani Rivera, and one of my favorite surfers right now, Noah Beshin, who's throwing down crazy movies these days. Look at this heat already. We still have almost a half an hour to go. 817, now a 9.8. Mamiya putting Leo in a severe combo early, Strider.
Man, are you kidding me? We got Team Mamiya right here. Look at these guys. They're so psyched. The 9.8 right now. There's another one going down. Are you kidding me? The waves are insane out here. It is so fun to watch. I mean, the vibes are high. The flags are flying. Let's go.
Gosh, let's go. How cool is that? That's the great hair of Nai, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet from the west side. All supporting Barron. There's a cool energy in this community when everyone's got someone to root for, and it's kind of been the theme of this winter season. Going with the Eddie Aikau, Landon McNamara, Nathan Florence picking up the Vans Pipe Masters, and now Barron looking to keep everything at home.
Yeah, all the North Shore boys are representing really well right now and holding it down. And it feels like a little bit of a throwback back in the day, like Johnny Boy used to hold court and Dane K. Aloha, and it was a huge advantage to be a local boy, and all the extra knowledge you had out here was a big home court advantage. And then all the tour guys have sort of done their homework over the last 10, 20 years and caught up, but Barron bringing it back big time.
Oh, some serious energy from Barron Mamiya, 9.8, 817. As Fioravanti is sitting with priority, just going, what do I do now? Jesse, as a CT competitor and even competing with Leo and knowing his personality, what are his strengths that could maybe pull himself out of this one?
It's pretty clear. Like, it sounds cliche because I've said that so many times, but there's sometimes in the heat that it's you have your hands cuffed. Like, there's nothing else to do besides drop in on a 9-point ride, and that's what he needs to do right now. I don't even think an 8-point ride would be something, like good for him, because I feel like Barron, it's probably going to step up even more. Like, we still have almost just below 26 minutes left, and I wouldn't be surprised to get a 10 on this heat.
And needing two waves. Leo's not looking for anything except for a wave where he's going to max out the score and really searching for 10s.
I mean, this is going to be a good gut check for Leo. I've said this to John many times, sort of coaching him up, and just try not to get too emotional. Realize how easy it is for you to get an 8.5, get back in the heat, or a 9. It's not impossible. Don't get too emotional with the scores reacting to Barron and thinking you need to do some miracle. Leo is more than capable of throwing down a couple big scores, so just got to hold the emotions at bay.
And any way you look at it, what a brilliant start to the season for both of these athletes. One of them will be in yellow. It's already looking like Barron, but Leo, wants to be a part of the Final 5 story. He'll be at least in number 2 in the world, but yeah, he does have plenty of time. We hope he makes some big strokes into some bombs in the back end of this final. But done some great things to be proud of. Got past Ian Gouveia in the semifinals. And just looking a little bit more calm with his energy, than I think he has been. Sometimes he's just so ready to win. He's almost jumping out of his skin. It seems like he's found the right recipe to just have the really good demeanor inside, Jesse.
Yeah, and that's the problem of keeping too much expectations. Even when you're going just for a quick surf, like you see the waves are good and you get so excited that you paddle out there and you can't find yourself in the lineup. Like you need to hope, you need to have like the will, but you got to keep yourself like in check all the time. It's like, hey, let this happen, let this flow. I'm going to do my best, and there's only so much I can do.
So many great stories of local boys winning this event. You mentioned Johnny Boy in that final he had. He's a wild card. Also with wild card Michael Ho at the time, as this one's just running through the inside reef. Barron Mamiya just shows off that travel time, backhand or forehand. And Ross, for you, I mean, with all the great barrel riders in pipeline history, does he remind you of anyone, or is he really kind of paving his own style and approach out here?
He kind of has his own style, but he does have a wider stance, and he's so gutsy. So he does remind me a little bit of Johnny Boy. Johnny Boy Gomes was super good backdoor barrel rider. Obviously, Johnny Boy was great at pipe too, but he reminds me of that. He's got that real good, solid pump through the barrel. He'll travel and bust through whitewash balls. He doesn't get knocked off too easily. So Barron is just like, he gets a lot of momentum through barrels at backdoor and usually punches through.
So many great Hawaiian champs back in the first edition. 71, Jeff Hackman winning. Jerry Lopez going back-to-back. Rory Russell went back-to-back. Michael Ho had that famous performance with the broken arm where he was just pig-dogging and getting really barrel, getting the victory out here. Dane K. Aloha in 83, one of the best ever and former runner-up in the world. As we look at the top heats of this event, we're looking at a 17.97 total. That's for Barron. Well, he's outdone himself before, 18.9 points. And the third best heat total. I mean, talk about being the favorite and the guy to beat, not just being on the banner as a defending champ. Gosh, he's living up to the hype, Jesse.
It's incredible. Like, I mean, the scale that we have, that he set himself, is pretty high right now. And how can you overcome that? Like, Leo has a huge task in front of him.
Yeah, how do you even overcome that? The biggest total, 18.9 in the semifinal that he got through to make it to the final, which was impressive. And I'm just still loving the heats with John in the last 2 years. And talking to Nathan Florence earlier who joined us for the call, we're kind of tripping how eerily similar those heats were, you know, with 10s for Barron. And Nathan went further to say even the way they got their backups, just like you're watching a repeat scenario from last season.
Yeah, and Barron, he did the very important thing, which is really key against John, is he started first. He got the big scores first, and that made John flinch. And so, yeah, he's just got the magic going. You know, there's a handful of guys that have equal ability, but Barron's, you know, he's been finding the really good waves and jockeying really well, good energy. He's just been giving himself the best shot in every heat.
And now moving forward, it's the story of Barron winning on the road. You know, he's proved that he can do that at home. And even when it comes to equipment, last season he spent a lot of time with Britt Merrick and Channel Island surfboards, and he really needed to work on boards to help him in gutless surf and surf that's not giving him any power. He's so used to the power of home that he really spent some time to get a really balanced quiver that'll have something that'll help him really connect the dots in definitely small surf. That could happen even on the Dream Tour.
Yes, and it's funny that you mentioned gutless surf, but just because he's from Hawaii, because the Waves World Tour still has so much power, but here it's just that extraordinary speed that the swell comes in. That I remember for the first time that I've been here, like, it seemed like the wave was approaching me much quicker than anything I've ever seen. So he's just so used to that heavy water that it's tricky for you to adapt when you go somewhere else around the world. And usually surfers from Hawaii, they have that problem going outside, and it takes them a few years, and that's what it's happening to him. He's improving, evolving, and the same way around. Like, everyone that comes over to Hawaii, they have to figure it out. Boards, everything seems new because it's so different.
You'll have a magic board in California, you feel like throwing it in the trash after your first surf. Yeah. In Hawaii, it feels so different. 2 big scores, Ross, for Barron in this final.
He's just insane. He's one of the best in the world at completely leaning over his front knee. He just so committed. That pig dog stance works so well for him late. He gets underneath it as good as anyone on tour. And then here's the pumps. Watch these huge pumps. Just steamrolls through a really deep, tricky barrel. Also, he times that doggy door exit just right, so he has beautiful instincts. This is a man who's been surfing backdoor and pipe and log cabins and all these waves his whole life since he was 10 years old, and he is just sleepwalking out there. You can tell it's just automatic.
And the news for Barron has just been riding bigger boards than you'd expect, you know, for the final on a 6'1" CI Pro step up. If it wasn't this year, you'd be guessing pipe and backdoor this size. You're like, oh, he might be on a 5'10". You know, he's just famous for riding small bores. And talking to the CI crew, they were like, you know what, he's actually very strong and he can push a big board. So it was a clear adjustment that they were making in the off season. And Brent Power from CI said, Joe, we don't really have days off. You know, in the off season, they were spending so much time just refining equipment and their quivers for their big team they have this year. And I think the extra length looks great for Mamiya.
It definitely does. He's a massive kid. Like, he grew up and built him some muscles as well, and that's kind of the age that you start doing that. So good for the team to identify that and put some volume under him. It's usually a friend, you know. Usually people are actually underboard, like they too thin of boards, too narrow of boards, and that was a problem that I feel like a lot of everyone that kind of gets in on tour have it, and as they get more experience, they realize how much foam is their friend.
Darren Mamiya just looking out the back. He's got to be pitching himself again. He had tears coming out of his eyes when he won Sunset. Then he felt that magnified when he won Pipe, and then to go back to back. Who knows what's going through his veins at the moment, Ross?
It's incredible. It's actually, you know, Joe, you're a savant with all the stats, so I'm going to dig into you a little bit.
Ooh.
But it's incredible. The shortcut, the back door that he took to qualify for the CT Tour. He did not have to do the CS Tour. He did it for a few years. That doesn't, as you guys know, quite fit his surfing. He's not a grindy little small wave surfer. This is where he flourishes, and he did that shortcut by doing so well at Pipe and Sunset.
Yeah, and you can't do that anymore. That rule's been changed, you know, for wild cards. And I called Barron before this event started, and he was saying, yeah, it was a wild year. You know, he had the heat with Kelly at Pipe. Kelly, you know, upset him in 16 seconds. And then they're like, hey, you're in Sunset. And then he wins it and almost took him by surprise. And they're like, you're the replacement for the next event. All of a sudden, he made the cut. That whole year, he was going Challenger Series, events around the world. His whole year changed suddenly. And then he was showing up at Waves going, okay, what do you do here? You know, from quiver to even performance. And he kept reflecting on that Sunset win, going, okay, I beat guys not at Pipe. That's what I'm famous for. And that's kind of been his good luck charm, remembering Sunset winning for him, because it's kind of Pipe is even obvious for him. So he kind of reminded himself through the grindy events, he's like, I can win at different spots. And I think through these last few years, he's grown a lot, and I think he's going to surprise the world on what he does at events on the road this season.
No doubt. There's a lot of expectation for him, and he adapts it very well, and that's what he did. Like, he was expecting to surf the Challenger Series, and all of a sudden he gets a call for one or two events, win of them, gets the yellow jersey, and goes into the road and just starts smashing big names. So he's not scared to put in a good fight and adapt into the situation that is ahead of him.
And here's the story from Barron himself about the vision he had when he knew he was going to win Pipe last year.
It's actually pretty funny. Like, I haven't told this story to anyone, but there was a free surf session that I had. It was at Pipe. The waves were really good. It wasn't super crowded, but I got a bunch of fun waves. And I remember my last wave I got, and I kind of bottom turned, and I just like stood in the barrel. It was just perfect barrel. And I just remember looking out, and then this like feeling came on me in the barrel. Like, it's like gonna sound really weird, but like I was in the barrel and I was looking, and like I was just standing there. Like, I wasn't grabbing my rail, I was just standing, like just looking at the view. And I remember it spit, and like right when it spit, like I had this like feeling of like, whoa, like I'm gonna win this year at the contest. Like it's like the craziest. It was like the craziest feeling. Like, it was so defined. And I was like, whoa, like it almost felt like someone was there or something was going on, and I just like felt it like instantly. And then everything that happened in the contest till when I won, I was like, holy shit, like it came true. Like, that was it. Like, I remember that. Like, it was just a crazy moment, you know? And when it all came to like fruition, it all happened, and I was just like, I kind of sat back, and like that's the moment that I remember so vividly. It wasn't even in the contest, it was before it happened. I was just like, how did that like happen? You know, it was like almost like something like came down and was like, yeah, this is your year. And like and I felt it in that moment. It was crazy.
Barron Mamiya, before he won Pipe last season, and now look where he is, very close to maybe going back to back, but things just got interesting. Listening to that story from Barron Mamiya, we got some action, Ross.
Yeah, Leo, this is, again, one wave at a time. He needed to get, at least into excellent range. 8.5 would be nice. That gives him something to really work on there. So let's take a deep look at it here. Nice stalled there, a couple pumps. So he's very deep a couple times. He's going to need to break through again that 8-point ride. What do you think, Jesse?
A longer barrel for sure than the 8.1 ride. 1.7 just maybe lacked a little bit of the criticalness that Barron had on that way 8.1.7. But I think the length and the depth of that Barron, how much he had to drive through, it's going to come into, I mean, I got to say it's an excellent wave.
Right here, scores are locking in for Leo Fioravanti, and look how sharp he's looking now. An 8.87, so better than Mamiya's low score, and chasing a 9.11.
And again, that's the momentum shift. That's what helps you upstairs between the ears. That gives you hope. That makes you look a little, think of things more optimistically. You start paddling with your chin up a little bit, so this heat is not over.
Well, if you're ever going to make someone nervous in the lead, it's someone crawling back into it. A momentum shift of energy. Leo now taking this wave up and under. Still traveling. He's holding his line well. The Italian needs to make this thing, and he does it. What a turnaround we're seeing from Leo Fioravanti after a severe combination against him. He's letting out the passion now.
That's all he needed.
Insane. Again, that was what, 90 seconds or less?
That might be less than 9 seconds, actually. That's
you gotta love
crazy.
backdoor and pipe for the contest. It's the best place in the world. I mean, we were wrapping this thing up.
Look how fired up he is right now.
I was, Ross.
insane.
Yeah, this turnaround is phenomenal. Some energy.
Look at that run.
He is flying. He doesn't even feel that sand.
That's some of the hardest sand to run in the world. So deep. And look at his composure. Fell in love with his fitness program. He doesn't mind people getting behind him. He's done this before.
I'll put myself out on a limb. I think it's the best wave of the heat.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere to go, 9.8. So interesting. Let's see what the judges do. I mean, will they go 10? I personally think it's the best wave of the heat.
One more look here. Jesse, your thoughts?
I think what was so impressive on this wave started very slow, and there's kind of a gap in between that section and the first one, and most of the people would have came out of that and popped up in front of the wave and read into the second one, but he kept himself covered the whole time, and actually his whole board was covered as well, and he finished it off very strong with 2 massive turns.
Yeah, looking into the barrel is very cool because you get to see Leo's technique while he touched the foam ball there. That's always a good sign. But I really want to see an angle from the beach and from the judge's angle, like from in front, because that's going to show the height of the wave. The one word we always like to say is how critical was the wave. And right here, he did have to slow down. That doesn't make the judges always super happy, but he got really deep. So that's where the criticalness comes from. He touched the foam ball not once, but I think twice in his barrel. So, ooh, yeah, this is going to be really close to Barron's 9.8.
Massive comeback for Leo Fioravanti, just chasing a 9.11.
Here's something cool to think about, Joe. I think it's way better than his 8.8, right? So it's very interesting for the judges.
That's what I'm thinking. Like if you're comparing like the situation that he already has in hand right now, I feel like the same way. Like I feel like that's a better score than his 8.87 by half a point or so, like, or at least maybe even more.
This is what the judges are thinking. Already 4, writing down numbers, and 8.8 wouldn't put him in the lead. The moment that would be a score to get tossed when you get rid of the high and the low score and average the middle 3. Those 3 right there put him out in front, just needing a 9.11 now to the 10-minute mark. Talk about an energy shift.
Judge 5 is a big number to hit here. If it's
all
low or
him.
high, it's going to really affect this score. If it's in the middle, it's going to turn the heat.
They tied.
Oh, no.
Wow. Last score is locking in. It's another 8.8.
Wow.
There's the frustration from Fioravanti. So with 2 8.8s thrown, it ends up bringing it down to a 9.10, a tie-break situation. And with the high single score for Barron Mamiya, he breaks the tie in his favor. Unbelievable.
Wow, that's so close. And Leo, he's... Okay, just to break it down for the judges to try and put you in their mind, I for sure think they gave the edge to Barron because how critical his drop was. It was a much more edgy, difficult drop, and they gave him the extra juice for that. But Leo's surfing on that right was phenomenal. It was a really nice barrel ride.
Crazy. And I did talk to the judges yesterday after the 10s. He's like, the 10s were all about how critical and hard the takeoffs were, and they've been really sticking with that for the last couple days.
Yeah, they do, and it counts. It really is hard for you to do technical late drops, and it looks like he's going to have a look right here.
Tie break situation. Leo in second, so still needs an 8.88. Strider, what a final we have underway.
Wow, you can't say that Leo didn't give it everything he had on that wave. And I honestly, you got to come into the scope of it, and the depth of the barrel was there. I feel like the drop and the entry into the wave was maybe a little bit less dramatic than what we've seen from Barron, so maybe that's where the score difference was. But for it to just be a straight tie across the board there, I feel like, Leo has still got the energy to take this thing over. I mean, I was down the beach looking into the barrel, and he was just riding the foam ball, coming into the second section, really executed everything he needed to do in the barrel. So if anything, maybe it was the entry into the wave. You guys saw it in there. You guys probably saw it in slow-mo. Maybe that made the difference.
Yeah, great report from the Sand Strider. What a situation there. As we broke it down, just such a lengthy tube ride. And as we saw looking into the pit, he got lifted up by the foam ball way before. Got him into contention with the 887. And kind of a split decision on the panel, obviously, with a few judges saying he did enough to take the lead. Gosh, thinking about a tie-break decision at the CT final level, I only can think of one final in history where that's happened before, and that was Adriano de Souza and Mick Fanning at Bells Beach, where Mick won on a tie-break. But still some time. Hopefully these guys get another chance to separate this tie-break.
What will be cool is to see all four rides in sequence. That'll be cool to see. Then it kind of gives you an edge. Sometimes the judges actually do that. They'll see where their scale's set, and they'll tip the heat in a certain direction just because, this guy, I think we're giving him the nod so far. Leo's 8.8 earlier I thought was maybe a touch high, so maybe the judges tempered it a little bit on the second score. Tough to know, but however you slice it, this is apples and oranges. It's a virtual tie. So Barron gets the nod with the bigger wave.
And when we're asking the question as well, like we're indecisive, the judges would also be in a split situation. So some of them obviously thinking he got the score and some didn't. It's just the math in the end that kind of went on the wrong side for Leo, and that happens quite often, like it happens quite a few times.
Energies with Barron at the moment, able to hang on to his lead with a tie-break decision. Let's focus on the best scores for each. 9.8 for Barron, 9.10 for Leo Ross.
Okay, so again, Barron, big pumps to start, meaning he's deep. Leo had to stall, but they both equally got deep. But you can see Leo was in a barrel for maybe 2 more seconds. So, and that was why I initially gave him the nod. I said, okay, I think Leo, that's the best wave of the heat, because he's in a barrel for a long, long time. And again, Barron's other wave, he had the more technical drop, but this right, Barron was really deep, and he had to really steamroll his way through the barrel, whereas Leo was stalling and stepping on the brakes the whole time. So I guess the judges didn't like that as much. In my eyes, though, that extra couple seconds in the barrel, I thought he was going to get the nod, but it's really close.
And also he comboed it up with two pretty big turns. Maybe the last one, he didn't come out clean, like right there. As soon as he was going to come out, like he was already claiming, and he wasn't out in front of the whitewash. But also one thing that comes out to my eyes as well that plays a big factor is that wave from Barron was prettier. Like he had that wall stretched out in front, and the judges love seeing that. It was like a second wave of the set. You see it bottomed out a little bit more. It was cleaner in the face, so that also makes it a little bit more pleasing to the eyes.
Barron's?
Yeah, Barron's wave. Like he had that big stretch in front of him as he take off, and he had to drive through.
Right.
Pleasing to the eyes sometimes helps as well.
Yeah, it also looked like it had a serious bowl on it, and I mean, we had the size of Leo on the takeoff and bucking on the foam ball. Jeez, what a final tie-break decision at the moment in Barron's favor. 4:45 to go as Mamiya is looking to go back-to-back here at Pipeline on his home break, fighting for the leader's jersey, which he's worn in the past. And the two surfers starting to paddle into position. Seen a couple of little lines pop up on the horizon.
The weird part about this heat for me as far as scores is Barron's left. That was the one that was real drama. It was real late drop. That's the juicy one where it's like, okay, that was so technical. That gave him a beautiful backup score as we have it, the 8.17. gave Barron that edge. Again, he's so talented taking off upside down.
And that's the only wave that obviously it's a left and also a much shorter wave compared to the other ones, like intense but short. But just how late he was, that's actually the only takeoff on this guy's level that you actually thinking, is he going to be able to make it or not? The other ones, you already obviously know those guys are so talented, they're so good at doing that. But that one is kind of a point of difference. So good thing you mentioned, Ross, because that could have been, you know, I'm sure the judges looked at all 4 waves before they scored.
And that's why, Joe, I thought the 8.8 from Leo would have been a little lower, because compared to Barron's left, I was like, okay, you know. So again, maybe the judges are looking at the holistic view here. I'm not sure, but whatever you have here, we got 3.5 minutes. Leo's got a fighting chance here. He's in under priority, though, so that's a tough one.
And you wonder what'll happen after the fire he let out. You know, clear frustration when he heard the score, when he thought he definitely turned the heat. Ended up in that tie break as we check out the recap of the final so far. Barron locks in under the hood. That was that left you're talking about, Ross.
Yeah, to me, that's the difference maker. Really good backup score, 8.17. And then Barron doing what Barron does. Really big pump, super deep. Nice wave there at backdoor, but pretty gnarly wave there. That little extra power in the wave has given him the edge in this final.
And then Leo, the one on the foam ball, Jesse.
Yeah, that was beautiful technique from him. And just talk about kind of trying to steal the show in like a minute and a half. Getting that first wave, paddling back out, and you're going to see scratch back just in time for this one here, which I thought was very technical. How he was able to slow himself down. He never popped up in front of the wave from a front angle. And the whole stretch of the backdoor ride. And not to mention, you got to add a good point to that carve right there. And finish it off. That was the question. Did he land that or not, you know?
Yeah. I think that last turn's incomplete, but he did land the first turn where Barron fell on his maneuver. Wild.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it, if he didn't land that, which that would have cost his wave, that's all because he started to claim halfway through the turn, because he claims that he forgets about riding the wave out and he starts to lose just the balance on it.
I wonder if they even looked at it. Like, to me, they're like, the score comes from the barrel mostly, right? Unless he would have went for a big power layback snap, like something that gives you some feeling, right? That was just a pin turn. That was a little float hit, like a comp mode turn. If he would have went for a layback snap, that could have pushed him up into that 9.
To get the attention to that last end bit instead, obviously because everything was on the barrel ride and everyone was expecting that. Right. If you went for a big turn, you would have kind of give him something else to think about.
Only Italo does that, though, Joe. He's the only guy that just can't stop. He's just squeezing blood out of a rock. So give credit to Leo. Like, he just got barreled off his head. So it's tough to go, I need to do a gnarly layback snap.
Yeah. Or a shove it after. Italo would have finished with a shove it even.
So many fans for the local boy, Barron Mamiya. We see a lot of familiar faces from last year. Megan, Barry, his brother Bryson, all of his friends here in the North Shore community. And I'm probably still holding their breath, seeing a fired-up Italian come back into a tie-break decision. Fioravanti stayed calm. We started moving to topics for later in the season. I just love how calm he was, and he had to let out a little frustration when he heard he didn't get the switch in the lead. Never say it's over till it's over, because he needs an 8.88. Working closely with Richard Dog Marsh. Barron's doing this event all on his own before joining with Luke Egan for the rest of the season. And now 22 seconds. Leo thinking about it, but he knows that won't be able to turn the final. 15 seconds. And for Barron Mamiya, from winning Sunset as a wild card, winning Pipe last year, his favorite wave in the entire world, getting the wave of his life in the offseason on December 26th, and then turning it into a back-to-back effort, officially getting it done for Hawaii. Lexus Pipe Pro Champion, presented by YETI. Barron Mamiya, now your world number 1, heading into Abu Dhabi.
Unreal. I mean, right now, he's Mr. Pipeline, dude. He owns this place. Insane. To take down John earlier in the event, he's had a really tough run through this event. Italo today, he's just been smashing it.
Crazy. And he can say that in 2 consecutive years. Beating John in a final with the 10, getting John this year, and John was wearing bright yellow, being a 3-time world champion, both local boys, and to be able to win both his titles, getting past John when it's firing. These are the moments we'll never forget in pipe history.
And one point of difference that happened in both of these events in a bunch of heats, that takeoff to pipeline, that late takeoff. It happens in the final against John, completely late. This one here as well. He had one in the semifinals. He had it against John as well in the or the round of 16 yesterday. So that just shows this is the point of difference that he has on top of everyone.
He's a sicko, Joe. He's gnarly. He's not afraid. And you think about the finals in Fiji, if it's 10 to 12 feet, or Fiji and Tahiti, that bang, bang finish, that's right up his alley.
Big hugs from Kalani Rivero, Noah Beshin, Makana Pang. Those are his best friends in the world. His filmer Parker, two-time pipe champ. Barron Mamiya, current world #1. And the high fives will continue until his flight to Abu Dhabi. And now let's hear from the champion with AJ.
Joey, the champagne is still flinging off of Barron Mamiya, chaired up for the second year in a row. You are the back-to-back pipe champion, the last person to do that. Andy Irons, back in 05 and 06, joining a hallowed list of men. What does that mean?
That's crazy. I honestly can't even believe it. Like, coming into this comp, I was like, I won it last year, obviously, and I was just like, okay, like, if I won it, like, you know, winning it, you know, cool, right on. Like, you did it, you know, it's a big deal. But like trying to do back-to-back is like, I feel like that cements you as, you know, one of the best ever out here. And that was my goal going into this comp, and I did it.
You told me when we talked about that stat before this final, I have 1 heat and 2 good waves before I can think about it. What about those 2 good waves, Barron?
Yeah, I mean, I made some mistakes, kind of let Leo like go on those waves, but my waves in the beginning, my one long backdoor right, I was just flying through the barrel. I was like, oh no, like hopefully it like lets me out, and I just like squeezed out, and I was like, oh, I made it. And then I made a few like, I made a few mistakes with priority with Leo. I went on some bad waves, and then he got waves and went back out and whatever. But yeah, I mean, it worked out. It was crazy heat.
It worked out indeed, and I'm looking out at this crowd, Barron, so many of them rooting for you, carrying that Hawaiian flag. Try to describe what it means to win in your backyard yet again.
I don't even know. I mean, last time I think it felt like it went by so fast, you know? And then I was just like, shit, I wish I like felt that again. And now I'm feeling it again, and it still feels like it's going by pretty fast.
Soak in every moment of it, Barron. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you, Joe.
Thank you, AJ. Great words from a back-to-back